Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is prophecies that we think are going to be coming to pass in 2024 and 2025. Now, my objective here is to try to give you an idea of what is coming. It may be that some of these are delayed. So, I can't set an exact date on them. As a matter of fact, Prophet Leslie says God never gives an exact date. So with that in mind, I'm going to try to do, from the impossible. Try to paint a picture of what is honestly coming in 24 and 25, though it might not happen in this order or even these dates, but probably. It's a good bet anyway. Okay, first of all, yes, please subscribe and also join Prophecy Club, $9.90 a month or more, as, I don't know, I guess it's tax season, but we've hit another new low in the roller coaster, so if you can help us now, it'd be a really, really good time. Also, help us to get the word out by sharing this. Apparently, that's the only way we're going to reach more people, because we don't seem to be getting any new people coming to the platform. I guess there's a way that they can block it. So the only way we're going to reach more people is by you sharing it. Also, if you have an IRA or if you have a 401k, 800-200 gold, these folks will help you share it so that you don't lose your life savings in the event of a stock market crash, as they say, is a very real possibility. Okay, before I get into the main topic today, I want to show you a couple of things. If you'll notice, the date here is April 17th. Then if you notice at the bottom, this is April 18th. So April 17th says that video, and it actually shows video, but I'm not showing the video here. It does show, here's part of it. This is part of the video, but I'm not going to show the video. It's just a bunch of people loading these bombs. But the point is, 3 days ago, at Minot Air Force Base, the United States began loading nuclear bombs, hooking them up to B-52s. Again, the videotape shows that. And why would they be doing this? Well, obviously, there's a possibility of using them. Now, as I said the other day, Russia has scalar wave. They can destroy anything in the air, on the land, on the sea, under the sea, and possibly even on the moon or the sun. Who knows what else the scalar wave can do. But they aren't worried about anything that the United States can throw at them, especially in ancient B-52s that fly, so slow. They're not even stealthy. They can see them coming for hours away. So he says, what you're about to see are 4 trucks carrying wing pods, 2 pods per plane, 1 pod on each wing, so you're seeing enough for 2 planes. Each pod carries 6 nukes. So you're watching actually 12 nukes per plane being loaded. Now, I think it's very interesting because the very next day, the article is, War Emergency Alert, Russian nuclear forces on maximum alert, U.S. nuclear bombers being loaded, strike missiles. In other words, so on the 17th, America starts loading nukes onto a B-52, and on April 18th, Russian nuclear forces go on maximum alert. I don't think that Russia's about to attack America, not yet. Again, we've got a lot of, the fall of America will start with an internal revolution. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen enough. But I'm just letting you know it's getting closer. So be advised. Now, here's what I'm going to do today. I've tried to put 30 years of Bible prophecy together with all of the, we got God's warnings to America, a whole book of, I don't know, I've got probably 300 pages of various warnings. But I'm trying to put them in the best order I possibly can to be able to give you a picture of what could be happening this year. So these are prophecies to watch. One of them is when Israel strikes Iran, the price of oil will skyrocket. Well, that would make sense, especially if Israel were to hit the oil production or the oil fields of Iran. Now, that hasn't happened yet, but it could any day. All right, then, but the big thing we're watching for is April 22nd, 2024, sacrifice of the red heifer. Israel has not seen a red heifer in 2,000 years, nor has it sacrificed animals in almost 2,000 years. Yet, here we are looking at the possibility of animal sacrifice beginning in Israel again. Now, you may be saying, so if Israel wants to sacrifice animals, that's their business. No, you don't understand. Daniel 9:27 says, and the he is Antichrist, and the Antichrist shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. So what it's saying is that this is what almost all prophecy teachers understand. The event that starts the tribulation is some kind of a covenant. You could call it an agreement. You could call it a peace treaty. You could also maybe call it giving the Palestinian a state. So it's some kind of an agreement. And as a result of that agreement, the Antichrist then goes in, sits on the Ark of the Covenant, and requires them to stop animal sacrifice. And then, of course, 2 Thessalonians 2:4 says, he sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Meaning, it could be that this animal sacrifice is showing us that here in the next few years, I don't think it's happening this year, but it could. In the next few years, we could see the Antichrist pop up. And, of course, he's not going to say, I'm the Antichrist. He's going to paint himself as a good guy. But I'm just saying, it's in my 40 years of studying Bible prophecy, it's probably one of the biggest fulfillments of Bible prophecy I've seen, to see them start animal sacrifice. So they haven't sacrificed animals in 2,000 years, and now all of a sudden, in the next week or so, they could be starting the animal sacrifice. That's huge. Now, let's go on. Now, that's April 22nd, and this is going to be Monday's broadcast, so that may mean by the time you have seen this program, a red heifer has already been sacrificed in Israel, because at sundown on Sunday, our sundown on Sunday, is their start of Passover. So it may very well be that they have already started this red heifer sacrifice. Then it takes about 3 days for the ashes to cool, so I'm told. And that would fit in perfectly with April 25th, which is First Fruits. Now, First Fruits was the day that Moses and the children of Israel passed through the Red Sea. What does that symbolize? A lot, okay? It symbolizes leaving the land of Egypt, or the land of sin, and going into the promised land, or the land of walking with God, okay? Well, animal sacrifice beginning April 25th, or First Fruits, would fit that. Now, did I say animal sacrifice is going to start April 25th? No, but I'm sure watching. That would be the first animal sacrifice, other than the red heifer, in, again, almost 2,000 years. All of a sudden, prophecies are about to take place. Then, we look at a 30% dollar devaluation. The prophecies say boom. It's not a gradual thing. It happens almost immediately. I mean, like a Friday afternoon, everything's fine. And by Monday morning, it didn't say it was on the weekend, by the way, but just, in other words, there's no warning that all of a sudden we get a 30% devaluation in the dollar. That would be the financial storm that Shane Warren was told about. Then that also would fit the headline given to Chris Reed that says dollar drops 30% in value, as Maurice Sklar was also shown. The subtitle was Middle East Oil Strikes Deal with China Instead of the U.S. Now, that's what Chris Reed said, but Shane Warren said that the event that starts the fall of the dollar is when they start selling oil in another currency other than the dollar, which started April 24th of 2022. And frankly, I'm shocked that we've gone this long without the dollar falling. And talking about that, there's squabbles in the government all the time about whether we're going to help Israel or help Ukraine or help Taiwan. And they're talking about now removing Michael Johnson, the speaker. It seems like our government is in constant turmoil, and we can't seem to agree on how to spend money. So it could be that any one of these times, all of a sudden the Republicans say, like right now, for example, okay, Margie, what's her name? Margie Green is saying she's going to remove Mike Johnson, the speaker, if he does not attach some kind of a border fix along with the Ukraine money. So what happens when the Republicans, if they were to put down their foot and say, that's it? We are not going any forward. We are not going another step without you fixing our border. And the Democrats say, okay, well, we're not going to fix the border. And then the Republicans say, well, that'll ruin our country. And the Democrats say, so? That's what we've been trying to do now for 100 years. We love to ruin America. America is our biggest problem. See what I'm saying? So it's the Republicans that are trying to do something to help our country, in my opinion, and the Democrats are doing everything they can to destroy it. So we could see all of a sudden some kind of a squabble in our Congress, and all of a sudden we see we want our entitlements. What's an entitlement? All right, now, take, for example, my case. So I paid into Social Security for many years. Now I'm 70, and I go and I want to get a monthly check sent to me, as a lot of Americans do. And we call that an entitlement because I paid in, and it is entitled to me. This was the agreement that they would send me this money. Now, all of a sudden, if the government stops that, I can see why a lot of people that are depending on that retirement check every month to eat, all of a sudden, they're furious. All of that could be happening this year. It could be happening in the next month or so. You remember that Chris Reed had this most recent dream, and he said it starts in like April, May ballpark, okay? Well, this is the April, May ballpark. He didn't say June. He said April, May. Perfect storm subtitle, inflation reaches new high. We've seen inflation go up. Now, a lot of people would say a whole lot, but not anywhere close to what the prophecies are saying. So we could see a 30% devalue in the dollar any day now. We could see then all of a sudden the price of oil shoot up. I mean, Israel did just attack Iran. And then all of a sudden things get really, really expensive. Now let's look at the next here. Food shortage crisis as wheat and bread imports are at a stalemate. So all of a sudden there's some kind of a crisis. There's some kind of a skirmish out there, kind of like what we've been having. And all of a sudden the shipping is shut down. You know, like kind of what is happening in the Red Sea right now. See, it's like a lot of things are sort of happening, but they're not happening to the full degree, which means a lot of the stuff could all of a sudden happen in the full degree. I mean, kerwhop. All of a sudden now we're seeing prices going through the roof. We're finding that food shortages, all of these things that we've been talking about and warning about, all of a sudden, they're here. Okay, let's go on. So we see food shortage crisis as wheat and bread imports are at a stalemate. Then, sometime before June 13th of 2024, if this is the year, and it's there, and we won't know this is the year until the headline hits, and the newspaper I'm going to be watching for the closest is the Jerusalem Post. But until we see the headline someplace on some newsletter or newspaper that says Omer ushers in Palestinian state, we won't know. And then we aren't going to know if America twisted Israel's arm or if Israel just gave it themselves. We aren't going to know until the next day or so or week or so, until the New Madrid earthquake hits America. Now, I will say that everything right now is saying not only is America, but also Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and of course Iran. I mean, just about all the world. They just took a vote again, what was it today, in the UN about possibly putting all kinds of problems with Israel. And out of the 13 nations, America was the only one that objected. And if America had not objected, I think what it was doing is giving the Palestinians a state. So all of a sudden, we could see the headline, Omer ushers in Palestinian state. Now, just to check, I went into the internet search engine, and I put in Omer ushers in Palestinian state this morning. It does not pop up anyplace. There is no, do a search for Omer ushers in Palestinian state. It's not there. Here's another one. Do a search for catastrophe hits America. It's not there. Any place on the internet. That phrase does not exist in any website, any place. That is other than us. Omer ushers in Palestinian state. The headline, catastrophe hits America, bringing a New Madrid earthquake, splitting America. All of that could. Now, I'm not saying it will. We don't know yet. But we could see that. before June 13th. Remember, there's another prophecy: riots and civil unrest as citizens demand entitlement checks, an earthquake happened under my feet. Well, that would fit in there someplace. Israeli and Palestinian two-state solution reached. That fits in there with Palestinian state. Of course, we talked about Unrest. We talked about the next one. Palestinian state would be a temporary measure to allow the Israelis time to strengthen their military. Major earthquake hits the middle of the United States. Catastrophe hits. This is another of me listing where this could be some of the things that are taking place. Could be the order. Israel refuses help to America. Okay, let me back up. So we can see Omer ushers in Palestinian state. Now, here's something else came to me the other night, and I'm just sharing from my heart here. Omer ushers in Palestinian state. Ushers in would kind of be pointing more to the beginning. So what is Omer? It's the 49 days between first fruits and Pentecost. First fruits is the 25th, which is, would that be Wednesday? Yeah. Didn't look at the calendar. Let me jump at the calendar here. That's kind of important. Wednesday, yeah. Next Wednesday is the 24th. But the 25th, so that would be next Thursday. So we could very well see that take place by next Thursday. Now, Omer ushers in Palestinian state. We could see that by the latter end of next week. Maybe they're working on some kind of an agreement. Maybe this deal with this skirmish with Iran has pushed things forward. And we know that Biden is twisting the arms of Israel from a lot of newspapers. A lot of headlines have said that. Then, catastrophe hits America, the New Madrid earthquake, one of America's greatest times of need. America is then screaming bloody murder to all the rest of the world to help. And her good friend, Israel, refuses help to America. Because if America splits Israel, God will split America. That means the Great Lakes open up down to the Gulf of Mexico. That will bring, according to Shane Warren, the greatest revival in human history. There's a wealth transfer to the church, and miracles return to the church. So God does a great big miracle. Then, the Palestinian state agreement. Now let's talk about that specific agreement. It could be that here we set Friday afternoon at 3:38 on 4/19/24, as I'm recording this. We sit here and we haven't heard anything about a Palestinian state about to form. Now, they've been talking about it, but they've been talking about it for years. All of a sudden, it could be in the next week or so. I don't know that it is, but I'm a watchman. You're a watchman. We're watching. It could be in the next week or so that we could see an agreement pop up. They've agreed to a Palestinian state. Now, within that agreement, let me point out a couple of things. One, it's an agreement. And that agreement could fulfill, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. What does that mean? It means it could be the covenant that will start the tribulation. Now, it doesn't mean when the Palestinian state is given necessarily that would start the tribulation, because right now, the Antichrist, as far as we know, has not risen his head. As far as we know, he is not on the face of the earth. Now, according to several of the prophecies, he has been ordained underneath the surface, but he's not come to the surface. So until he does, he can't confirm the covenant. And it's not the covenant being formed, but it's the confirmation of the covenant that starts the tribulation. But the point is, if the covenant has been written, and if it is the Palestinian state, I mean, see, we don't know. But if it turns up that he confirms the covenant that gives the Palestinians a state, I mean, you see, we could be really, really, really close. He shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. So it could be this is going to be the covenant that a year or two or three down the road, someplace down the road, the Antichrist confirms. And then this could also be the whole thing that gets the animal sacrifice started, so the Antichrist can sit on the Ark of the Covenant, proclaim himself God, and then stop animal sacrifice. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, there's more. It also could give the Jews access to the Temple Mount. Once again, they've not had access to the Temple Mount in almost 2,000 years. Why do they need access to the Temple Mount? Well, some people say they don't. Some people say they can sacrifice animals any place they want to. But if they go by what was written and what is in tradition, they do need the temple. At least some people say that. Some people say they do need the Temple Mount. But they're not talking about that much because they're understanding right now for them to have access to the Temple Mount, they'd have to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Now, according to Kevin Kline, that has done some research there, he says that's not true. He said the Wailing Wall the Western Wall is actually not the wall of the temple. It is actually the wall to the Antonia Fortress. He said that they do not, I'll repeat a third time. Kevin Kline says they do not have to pull down the Al-Aqsa Mosque to reach the Temple Mount and start animal sacrifice. Maybe they knows that, or maybe all of a sudden, here in the next week or two, you see what I'm saying? I mean, big things are on the horizon. Maybe in the next week or two, somebody they respect is hearing from God pops up and says, wait a minute, God told me this is the way we don't need them. All of a sudden, they start animal sacrifice. See what I'm saying? Another thing, you can't have the fourth beast, which is world government, until you have the third beast. Well, the third beast is the leopard. The leopard that has 4 wings, which are 4 landmasses, and then 4 heads, meaning each landmass has a leader. Well, right now, there is not a 4-nation confederacy, each one having a leader that work together as one unit. It's not out there. So right now, we don't have the third beast. So it could be coming out of this Palestinian state. Just watch. It could be coming out of this. All of a sudden, within that, there is an Arab 4-nation confederacy. It's 4 nations. 4 nations formed together with 4 heads, but they work together as one. That would be the third beast. Once you have the third beast, you can have the fourth beast. I know a lot of people, you could have world government not having the tribulation. Well, you could have the tribulation and not have the world government yet. I mean, we prophecy teachers and students, we assumed that they would start at the same time, but that's what it is. It's assuming. We don't know. But watch this Palestinian state. When it comes about, if it comes about this year, and there's another thing, we're not guaranteed it's going to start this year. We're guaranteed. We're watching, but we're not guaranteed it's going to start this year. None of this. It might be that all of a sudden this time next year we're talking about the same thing and it didn't happen. We just don't know. I mean, I've prayed and I've asked God, but I can't get him to answer me. He won't answer all my prayers. Matter of fact, I just asked him today, Lord, I said, it's not fair. I said, I've been carrying this warning of Dimitri Duduman for 34 years. I said, it certainly seems fair to me. You'd tell me the year and how the internal revolution starts. And so far, he's been tight-lipped. He won't tell me the year. He won't tell me how it starts. So if I could just get God to answer all my questions. Okay, let's go on to the third thing. So it could be the covenant that starts the tribulation. So let me summarize it. This Palestinian state, big stuff. Animal sacrifice, while they could be sacrificing animals for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe 10 years, before the Antichrist actually sits on the Ark of the Covenant. There's no specific prophecy that says once this happens, and then this happens. Other than you can't have the fourth beast till you have the third beast. That's an order. Okay, that's Daniel 7. You got to have that. So all of this, we could be next year talking about it again. But one thing, as a matter of fact, the animal sacrifice with the red heifer, my understanding is they've got a whole nother year. If the heifer gets too old, then it can't be sacrificed. And they're saying that this is the best year for it to be sacrificed. But my understanding is it could be again next year, still be qualified. I haven't heard that from enough sources to really know, but I'm only saying we could see this stuff start. Or maybe this time next year, we're still looking for the red heifer. We're still looking for animal sacrifice to start. I don't know. But I do know this, as prophecy students, as people who love the Lord, we want to see things start soon. We want to see the great revival, but we don't want to see the Palestinian state. We don't want to see God split America. We don't want to see some of that other stuff. I'm only saying, We got to watch. We got to watch because it's really, really close. Now, I know I've covered this hundreds of times, but this is really important. First, in case you haven't heard this, and I know there's a lot of people new coming to our channel. So, April 15, 2002, my wife, Prophet Leslie Johnson, had a dream. The Lord spoke these things to her and said that Arafat would go to the hospital and died there. Now, the reason it's so big is because at the time, Arafat was not allowed outside of his compound, so to say he's going to die in the hospital was a very, very risky prophecy. Nevertheless, we put it out to our best supporters and radio and TV we were on at the time. Yet, about 2 years later, 11/11/04, 3:30 a.m., he died in the hospital, just like she was told. Now, the way these things work is either the whole prophecy is true or the whole prophecy is to be thrown away. You don't have part of it true, part of it not true. So in that Arafat did die in the hospital, as she was told, that confirms the rest of it. Now, if that is true, then we know that Israel will give the Palestinians a state. But we don't know is whether America forces the giving of the Palestinians a state. We know, according to Joel 3:2, they parted my land. We know that a Palestinian state will be given. We don't know that America is going to be the one forcing it. But if they are, then Israel will give the Palestinians a state, but it will be a temporary measure to allow the Israelis time to strengthen the military. Then oil will be discovered in Israel, which does two things. It'll make the Jews willing to fight for the land and give the Jews the money to build up their military. Now, I don't think the next one takes place for a couple of years because it takes time to build up the military. Then we jump to January 22 of 06. These are audible words. She heard actually the first one, which was Israel. This is not the order they were happening. She heard Israel refuses help to America in an audible voice. And then the rest of them were spoken in her heart. Now, I've reordered them in the order that it makes sense to me. But the truth is we don't know the order. So let me just say, we don't know the order of them. But probably Omar ushers in a Palestinian state. That might happen. That might happen in the next couple of weeks. Maybe it's a couple of years, but it might happen that soon. And if America forces Israel to do it, then there will be a catastrophe hits America, probably a New Madrid earthquake, say the prophecies. Then America cries for help, America's greatest times of need. Israel refuses to help America. And then this one, where Israel, oil discovered. So oil is discovered in Israel. I think I know who's going to discover it. Then that oil will be used to build up Israel's military. Then Israel and America will go against most of the rest of the Arab world, and that fits with Israel is attacked, America sends troops, and then, of course, now, as we can understand, chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. I told Leslie the other day, I'm watching them burn the American flag in America, and this is Palestinians in America, and saying, down with America and destroy America and stuff. And I told Leslie, I said, something's wrong. As it seems to me like those people ought to be rounded up and said, okay, we got a list of about 10 different nations you can move to. Where do you want to move to? But you're being deported. These people, chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. We've got, it's like America was a glass of clean water. And then the more people turn from Christ, the more drops of muddy water get in that clean water. And here in the last 4 years, it's like a big tablespoon of mud was dumped right into that clean water with 6 million people coming over our southern border. Most of them are not here for a better life. Most of them are here to destroy our nation. They are destroyers. So anyway, I see a lot of trouble for our nation. But in that, the church is going to rise with healing in its wings. And however God protects us, if we're clean enough, he's going to protect us. But also, if we're clean enough, it may be we give our life for him. So I don't know. All I know is I want to be close to Jesus. That's what I want to know. I recommend if you want to have your wealth not lost, if you've got it in an IRA, if you got it in a 401k, if you got it in a bank, if your wealth is in paper, as Lindsey Williams said, it's worth the paper it's written on. In other words, it's about to be worthless. So I'll send you to prophecyclubgold.com. You can also reach them. Call 800-200-4653. 800-200-4653. They'll give you some ideas on what to do. That is their job, to help you not lose your wealth. I also recommend you go to josephkitchen.com. Get yourself a machine package. That's the wherewithal to grind the wheat berries into flour, put those into a bread machine with 5 other ingredients, push about 2 hours and 40 minutes later, you have a nice hot loaf of whole wheat bread. I've had many people email me. They absolutely love the bread. They love the whole idea. And see, because it's long-term storage food. And as in the days of Pharaoh, what fed the world for 7 years? It was wheat. I believe wheat is God's food for famines, for God's famine food. There is no perfect one food a person could eat for their whole lifetime and be totally healthy. But in my opinion, bread may come the closest. I mean, why does God call us the wheat? Wheat and the tares, okay. I think it's because the primary thing we're supposed to be eating is wheat. So go there, and then after you get the machine package, that's all of the mechanical things to make the bread, then you decide how much food you want. By the way, most of your long-term storage food, you're talking $9,000 or $10,000 to feed one person for 1 year. Did you get that? $9,000 to $10,000, one person 1 year. Joseph Kitchen can show you how to do it for about $1,000 per person. We're not talking about half price. We're not talking about 80% less. We're talking about like 90% less than what the other people can tell you that they can get you long-term storage for. I do not know of anybody that can beat that. This is an actual loaf of bread that I actually made. I eat bread. I mean, I also have to say that it's brought my cholesterol down. It's brought my blood pressure down. And that I don't get hungry as often. I typically will have a slice for breakfast and a slice for lunch and then a normal meal for whatever. And I've lost, 30 pounds over the last year. And in my opinion, I think the primary thing is that did it was, of course, watching what I eat and, all the other things, but bread. So I eat bread as the primary source. And it'll reduce your food budget too. Anyway, go check it out. So what is an EMP Shield device? It's a device you can put on your car and your house that in an EMP attack is supposed to stop the attack. And if you go to empshield.com and if you use the promo code Prophecy, they give you a $50 discount. They also have videos up there, shows you how to install it on your car and your house and everything, and it's not difficult at all. I've got one of them right here. Red goes to red, black goes to black, green goes to the car, body of your car, and you just peel it off the back, stick it under there. Got another device that goes on your house. So, not complicated. Take you about 10 minutes to put them in. So, empshield.com, promo code is Prophecy.